today we're going to use a contractor marketing ROI calculator that I made in order to demonstrate how you can put your own numbers in here and have a good idea of what you can expect as far as your return on your investment. And I also threw in a comparison of typical investments like stock market, precious metals, real estate, those kinds of things, because when I talk to business owners, a lot of them have investments. They've got a rental property, they've got stocks, they do this, they do that. And they're very heavily invested in these things sometimes. And when it comes time to talk about what to invest in their business, they're super apprehensive. They're like, kind of afraid to do it. And in my experience, business is typically the absolute best investment you can make. For me personally, I've tried a ton of different investments. I've tried stocks and all that, and a lot of times I lose money. But with business, it always comes back tenfold. And so I made this calculator just to help you figure out what it can do for you. And I'm just going to go through and demonstrate it. So we'll just do remodeling as the trade. I have most of my construction experiences in remodeling. For the average project size, so this page right here, this is where you put in all your data, and then the next page is where you'll be able to see the outcomes. So for average project size, I like to do bathroom remodels and things like that, and we do the occasional addition and whatnot. So I'm just going to put like 25,000 as our average project size. Close rate for organic Google leads. So this is going to be like people who find us through our Google profile or our website. I would throw referrals under this category because referrals tend to have a higher close rate than something like Google Ads or Angie or some kind of paid. So I'm going to say 1 out of 3 organic leads will close. So that's 33%. For paid leads, so this could be like Google Ads, local service ads, things like that, I always see a lower closing percentage. So I'll just say 1 out of 5. So that would be 20%. Gross profit margin, we usually shoot for about 33%. So let's put that in there. And then referral rate. So like how often does a customer either have me back to do more work later or refer us to somebody else? I think it's pretty high. I'd maybe put it at like 30% instead of 20. And the second section, so this is our marketing product at Adapt. This is our foundational marketing system. And so this is something that I would run through with prospective clients to get an idea of what they could expect. But these are just our standard rates. And here, the project takes 3 months. And so I'm just going to put 4 months until the leads start coming in and keep it at 4 leads a month. That's on the lower end of what I see across all the companies that I work for and for my remodeling company as well. But I always like to keep it conservative. So we're just going to do 4 leads a month on average. Step 3, this is the paid advertising. So if you're not doing any, or this isn't on the table right now, you can just put all these, delete all these. But let's go through and do all of it. So for bathroom remodels, the cost per lead in my area is about $60. And we can put our budget and we can put our max leads. And so let's call the budget $1,200. So that would be 20 leads if I could spend my full budget at $60 a lead. But with local service ads, you tend to hit a ceiling pretty quickly on the number of leads that you'll get. So I'm just going to put that to 5 and assume that I'm just going to kind of cap out at 5 every month. I won't quite spend my budget. I'll only spend $300, but in the off chance that there's more calls to go around or one of my competitors stops buying calls, maybe I can get more 1 month. So we'll call that 5. For Google Ads, the cost per lead, let's say it's $100. It tends to be a little bit more expensive than local service ads. And the ceiling seems to be a little higher. So let's put 10 leads there. That won't spend my whole budget of $2,500, but that's okay. And then we've got our comparison. So if you have other, investments that you've made, you can put them in here, put the return. This would be the yearly return. So S&P 500s averages 10 a year, real estate averages 8, precious metals 7, unless you've been holding them for the last year, then it's like 100%. And then I've got tools and equipment on there, which is, they depreciate. So if you buy a tool today and a year from now, it's worth less, but hopefully it helps you make money. So I've got all the numbers in. I put a little bit of notes here, if you're filling this out yourself to help remind you of what this is for. So let's go look at the results. All right, so this first section, this is for the foundational marketing system. So this is our core marketing product at Adapt. This is all about the organic Google stuff. So your website, your Google profile, getting as many reviews as you can. Those three things are what make up the foundation, and that's typically where like my favorite leads come from, and these numbers show why. So I'll just read through these. So like the total marketing cost for the first 12 months would be $6,400. My cost per lead for the first year would be $200 per lead. So that's a little bit more than local service ads and Google ads. Keep that in mind. Throughout the year, I got 32 leads at my closing rate of 30%. That's 10.6 jobs. So between 10 and 11 jobs. And then I added in referrals here. Did I have the referral rate I set to 30%. And so this is also adding in that 30% of your clients are going to create another job, whether it's a referral or a repeat business. And so that first year I got one referral, and my total jobs from this for the first year was between 11 and 12. Total revenue generated, $293,000, gross profit, $96,000. The net profit on my original investment of $6,400 was $90,000. So that's a 1,411% return, which is fantastic. If I could reliably get 1,400% return on something, I would invest as much as I possibly could in it. Unfortunately, when you have a business and you have like a foundational presence online, it's not something you can just duplicate super easily unless you go location to location. But that's a story for another time. So that first year I had pretty good returns on that. Let's look at the local service ads. I'm seeing right away, I see this is like a 3,000% return. I'm questioning this a little bit. So this is if everything pans out. 60 leads. Let's see. So it's saying I actually got 60 leads throughout the year. So this would be pretty optimistic. If I go back and look, what were my number of leads in here? So I was saying 5 leads per month over 12 months, that would be 60. So that's not really completely unreasonable. So I mean, if it worked out that way, even if it worked out half as well, you'd still be really crushing the return on your investment. And the way to use this spreadsheet is like, if you haven't done any of this stuff before, you have to kind of estimate what you're expecting. And I always recommend keep it conservative. But as you go, like if you do these things for a few months, you're going to get actual numbers, and you put those actual numbers in here, and then you'll be able to get a projection of what you can expect moving into the future. For Google ads, we had a 1,700%. So this is all profitable across the board. So like just looking at this, I'd be like, cool, let's do it. And I would see how it goes for a few months, and I'd put my actual numbers in and then come back to the spreadsheet and make sure, like, am I profitable enough to do this? Is there one thing that works a lot better than others? And you can go in and kind of mess with this stuff. It's possible, like I've seen cost per lead for remodeling services be $300. So let's try putting that in. And like in Houston, that's a super competitive market. Leads are super expensive. And even at those expensive rates, we're still seeing a decent return on these ads, but the amount you had to spend goes up quite a bit. So you got to keep that in mind. But check out this, where is the cost per lead at? So cost per lead. So something I want to point out, and this is why like the foundation is always where I like to start and where I like to spend most of my time. is because every month and every year that goes by, your cost per lead goes down, because the upfront cost to get established online in your area is pretty sizable, but it doesn't cost a ton of money to maintain that. And so after 5 to 10 years, like, your cost per lead goes down into maybe even the single digits. And I know, like our entire remodeling company, we don't do any kind of paid advertising. We get 5 leads a month like clockwork from our website, from our Google listing, and it's just uber profitable for us at this point because we've been doing it this way for years. But there's been, like, maybe 6 or 7 years ago, there was a winter where we used Google Ads to get us through the winter. And so we can go down and compare these investments to, like, your typical stock market, real estate kind of stuff. And you can see, like, the returns just aren't even close. So if you only take one thing from this video, it should be that if you can figure out a way to invest in your business and get a good return, that is going to be the best way for you to make more money, because you're in control of most of the variables. And if something works, you can triple down on it. If you make money in the stock market, you can't just turn around and put 3 times as much in there. Maybe if you're borrowing money to do it, but that's a really risky game. It's not risky to find something that works in your own business, an investment that pays you money, and do more of that. And that's how businesses grow every single day. So we'll put a way for you to get this spreadsheet yourself in the description. If you land on Google Sheets and it looks like this, you'll just go here to File, Make a Copy, and copy this spreadsheet, and then you'll be able to edit it and do whatever you want with it. It'll be on your account and it'll be private, so no one will see what you're doing. And if you want to put it on Excel, if you use like Microsoft Excel, then go to File, Download, and click Microsoft Excel, and then it'll download that file, and then you can put it on your computer and work with it from there. So give it a spin. Let me know what you think in the comments, and I hope that this will help you assess the opportunities you have in your own business and help you make sense of whatever opportunities that you have in front of you.